So would you say that South Africans are more and more now opting for these all-inclusive packages rather than just kind of turning up and seeing what happens?
Sure. You know, I think there's a difference between traveling. If you've got a long period of time and you put a backpack onto your back and you take off into the great wild, the great yonder, I think, you know, you wouldn't get a package. But our business is primarily holidays. 50% of our business is beaches, and a very large portion is cruising, guided holidays in Europe, coach tours, and that's the only way, if you've got a short amount of time, to actually experience Europe or to get the most out of your holiday. And people are recognizing that and recognizing the value of a well-organized package.
Would you consider that South Africans are maybe going into debt and that's maybe why travel has gone up?
It's hard to say. We can't really measure that. Probably about 60% of all our bookings are paid for using a credit card. But it's hard to say whether that's because of all the value adds that the credit card offers. You know, be it insurance or loyalty miles or whatever the case is. So it's I can't prove that. They're probably paying it off on their credit card over 3-4 months. But yeah, South Africans, they continue to travel. You know, and rand weakness, we've noticed, is not really a huge deterrent. Things like access are probably a bigger deterrent. So SAA used to fly to Buenos Aires in South America. They stopped that flight during the year, and we've seen a huge decline to Argentina and to South America. Things like visas have more of an impact. So the UK visa is linked to the rate of exchange, and it's getting close to 2,000 Rand per person. So if you're a family of 4, that's a good part of your budget on visas, and it makes you think twice about that destination. Having said that, so UK is probably flat as a trend. It hasn't grown. We had a very successful World Cup rugby. It was probably our most successful World Cup rugby. And we saw that hoteliers had probably learnt from the Olympics. They weren't ripping people off. They weren't ripping the ring out of it. And that, coupled with really good airfares, meant that people were really willing to go. But that's not a family. That's one guy probably with his mates. And then they're probably all sharing one beer at the end.